Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the latest installment of MSP Business School. As always, I'm one of your co-hosts with you today, Brian Doyle, and with me, I've got my two compadres in crime, Robb Rogers and Tim McNeil. How have you guys been after a little short layoff that we had of a week?
It's been fantastic not talking to you for a couple of weeks, Brian.
Yeah, as many people say.
It's been a better vacation than usual.
Yeah. Similarly, what my wife said when I got home.
Yeah.
Go back in the box.
It's fine.
But
Go back to your room.
We had enough of you for a week. We'll see you next year. But no, it was, it was great getting away. I think, I suggest everybody take an opportunity and recharge as we have this little lull in our COVID engagement, because certainly we're starting to see those numbers creep back up and we all might become locked up yet once again. But hopefully that's not the case and we all get to see each other more often this fall.
Yeah.
But as the show season starts, really hitting next year.
Yeah.
With us today, we've got a couple special guests. First nice part is we get two guests for the price of one. It's not often we get a couple smiling faces on the other side here. But we've got Paul Schroeder and Lucy Nguyen from ChannelAssist with us today. And it's going to be kind of a special episode too, because we're really coming at it in a different bent. A little bit less about MSP, but more focused on some of the channel partners and some of the channel programs out there. So with that, like to say welcome to both of you. And maybe, Paul, you can kick us off a little bit and tell us a little bit about your background and how you arrived in the channel and what you're doing today at ChannelAssist.
Fantastic. Well, first, thanks for having me. I've listened to a couple of episodes, so I think I've become a fan.
Yeah, nice.
Well, we appreciate that.
That's good.
Again, really appreciate it. So yeah, I can. How far back do you want me to start?
Oh, it depends on how quick you can go through it, right? So we got about 7 minutes for this segment, so
So I started. I guess it's kind of a serendipitous story because I think like most people, never planned to be in sales specifically, and never planned to get into the channel. So I started my career working for a major telecom in Toronto, Rogers, if anybody's familiar, selling digital marketing to small businesses. So we were kind of one of the pioneers in that space when SEO and pay-per-click were sexy. Everyone was kind of interested in what that was and how it could drive results. So we kind of did that for your local plumber, your optometrist. And I ran that for a couple of years until I got recruited to actually the MSP space, to a telecom agent, more specifically, I should say, and worked there for a couple of years. And, unfortunately, they actually cut the Toronto division 100%. So to make a long story short, so I got let go after about a year and about 2 years. So at that point, I was kind of in limbo. I was 27, kind of figuring out, what do I want to do, and maybe there's a new direction I want to go in. So I did something a little crazy, and I went backpacking for 7 months in Southeast Asia.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So that was quite an experience. And from that traveling, I went all over the place, from Thailand to Vietnam, Cambodia. Ended up in Japan, and then finished in Australia. But in Australia, I actually got a recruitment call from ChannelAssist, and they told me a little bit about the company, and I kind of was too busy sipping cold beverages on the beach to really care. But said, when I get back, I'll be more than interested to discuss it. So when I did get back, I entertained the call, and I've always been interested in consumer behavior and what actually, because I was going through this myself. Why do people do what they do? Why are they interested in what they're interested in? And ChannelAssist, as we're going to get into it, we're all about helping organizations get their message to their targeted audience, elevate them beyond, their competitors or the noise in the marketplace to drive desired sales behaviors. So it was interesting to me. And here I am, 3 years later, being at ChannelAssist. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I have to ask my boss.
Probably depends on the month and how you've done it, right? Yeah. But awesome. And Lucy, how about yourself? Tell us a little bit about your backstory and what you've done to arrive at your seat at ChannelAssist.
So I started my job working 4 years at a building construction company. So a lot of it's like B2C, selling to contractors. And I wanted to pivot into something more B2B with ChannelAssist. It's such a unique place where, they're often such an interesting way to connect, like Paul said, to other companies and the channel reps. And I love, making marketing content for, all different projects and channels and, such as product information, campaigns. And it's just been really a fun place to work at.
It's interesting. I think the MSP community will echo this too. We all try to play from a point of thought leadership and getting that content out there. But one of the challenges we certainly see is how to distinguish yourself amongst all the other noise. So, maybe you've got some insights that you can share with our listeners about how you cut through some of the noise and make sure that content actually resonates out in the marketplace, with all the competition.
Yeah, absolutely. So we like to say, what I just kind of alluded to is we want to elevate our clients' message to their desired audience, right? So what does that mean? So there's a great piece by, I think her name is Dr. Mary Lippitz, and she does complex change or change management. And she's got this diagram, and a big part of it, and I think a lot of people are familiar with change management, is the first thing in change is developing a vision. You don't have a vision, then you're not going to get anywhere. But number two, which is very fascinating, is incentives. Before we started recording, spoiler alert, we had a little prep. People are going to sell, people are going to act on what they're incented on. So to make sure that is aligned with an individual's core objectives and an organization's core objectives is imperative to getting any sort of success. So I'll take you through kind of what I call the 4 pillars of any program that we run. And I'm using the context of salespeople because that's who we help. We understand that the frontline salespeople are the ones talking to customers and are going to be the ones who are champions of your brand. So what's not a secret is we're all we're coin operated. That's not I don't think that's hidden fact that salespeople want to sell what's going to make them the most money.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that can mean, again, that can mean a lot of different things to different people. But number 2, and closely behind that is confidence. So if you're an MSP or you're a channel partner or you're a value-added reseller, and you've got a portfolio of products, if I've been successful selling my little pen here for the last 15 years, I'm hitting my number, my organization's happy, it impacts the bottom line, then why should I change, right? I'm going to keep selling that product. So that's something that's core to what we do and getting that message out to them. Number 3 is communication. So how often are you communicating your message or your value proposition to the salespeople at the right time in the right place? I think I can speak, I'm going to boldly say I can speak for a lot of salespeople. One of the hardest things to do is identify the right opportunities at the right time. Timing's so important.
Yeah.
So if a vendor can communicate often and directly to salespeople at their partners about new opportunities, about where the marketplace is going, then that's gold. And number 4 is making these programs very easy to engage with, making it very easy to work with that vendor. And where the incentive part comes into play is wrapping those 4 things in monetary rewards or non-monetary incentives like trips or desired behaviors that you want them to engage in, et cetera. And what we apply this to is really the long tail of an organization's channel, right? I think we know that when it comes to a vendor or anybody who's operating through a channel, most of your revenue is coming from a very small percentage of those partners, where the majority are underperforming. And that's where we apply our model to, is those 95% or 80% of partners or salespeople who are not delivering.
So Paul, what do you do there? So like, I totally agree with you that it's the 80-20 rule. So how do you do that for people? Like specifically, what do you go in there and, bring up this, this bottom half?
Yeah. So we come at it 2 ways. We come at it from a big picture. So like a disruptive approach, if you want to call it. by helping organizations understand what is it that's going to create that change management. So we'll sit down with the customer and we'll discuss with them. Well, let's take the example of the modern sales cycle. There's a lot of people involved in it. There's a lot of moving pieces to it. What types of incentives are going to drive the sales behavior you're looking for? So, are you including the pre-sales engineers? Are you including the sales rep? Are you including the technology people involved in the sale?
Got it.
And are they being rewarded properly?
Okay.
And again, are they being communicated properly? Yeah. What is your strategy there? And then we'll actually recommend specific tactics.
Okay, so hold on, Paul. So what you're saying is you go into the account, whether it's a vendor, a VAR, an MSP, and you help them build their commission style and what they're trying to do in order to get the behaviors that they're looking for.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can call it commission or you can call it incentives, I guess.
Incentives.
Right?
Yeah. It's just like,
when
I say incentives, I just mean, like any type of, reward system for them to, do more than their base.
Right. And a lot of things we do as well is some companies are not ready for that. That's a big piece of apple to chew on, or, it's kind of boiling the ocean type approach. If, what's been very popular is kind of scaling that back and identifying very specific parts of channel programs. So, for example, we could take on the responsibility of automating payouts globally for your incentives or your commissions. So today, a lot of people do them off of spreadsheets. It's very complicated, very cumbersome, a lot of resources involved. And then we'll also take care of the governance and taxation involved in those geographies for you. So we can go from 30,000 feet down to very granular tactical solution.
I think that's a critical piece right there too, because one of the biggest challenges I remember in a lot of those programs back when I was more channel centric that way was the transparency wasn't there. So you really didn't know, as the end user, am I getting what I'm supposed to be getting? Did it get registered the right way? Is anything getting lost in the shuffle? And it really was incumbent on me as the rep, let's say, to keep track of all those incentives I was supposed to earn and prove it out. But, most of our sales managers don't want to hear about that. They want to hear about us going out to sell more, right?
That's a great point. A lot of time and effort goes into designing these programs. And if something as simple as that communication or tracking is off, then, if you're simply not aware of it, then that's opportunity lost.
Yeah. Everything gets out of whack just by that. So just so switching gears, talking about the the pre-podcast prep. I know one of the things we had talked about was the Demand Gen award that you had got specifically around the Killer Content Award. Can you just take us through how you got that, what it means, and I'm kind of curious to know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Lucy, did you want to start, and I'll pop in?
Yeah, so we won the award for HP's Gem Club. So this is an award program where we reward channel sales rep for claims, completing training, a lot of sales cycle that Paul mentioned. So we reward them gems. So then once they complete these activities, they could claim prizes. And this was hugely successful. So we had over 2,900 participants, awarded more than 2 million gems, and increased social media followers by 500%. And the engagement rate was over 84. So this is really all over North America. So there's a very huge successful program for HP. And we're very happy that we were able to showcase promotions or content that we were able to deliver to the sales rep to get them engaged, excited about being in the program.
So was this content that you were creating tools that they were able to then use in the marketplace and turn around and use with their customers? Or was it more about their learning exercise and becoming more familiar with the products that they represented?
Yeah, so I'll give you a quick example of maybe a case study that we recently did.
Sure.
So there was a printing division for quite a large organization, and they recognized that there was a subsection of their partners that were just not performing. And by using the tools that Lucy just kind of laid out, offering the engagement. And what I want to make clear is oftentimes these programs are just rewarding for the sale. You make a sale, you get a spiff. And then, it dies off from there. When Lucy refers to a gem, that's really just like a non-monetary reward. It doesn't cost our customers anything to do that. And we give those out for things like logging in or, sharing a case study or downloading an article or
Driving
consuming
behavior.
knowledge, driving behavior.
Yeah.
So our customers tell us what kind of behaviors they want to do, and we align those incentives with what that process is. So back to the case study, what we did is we took that data from the sales claims that were made for that specific printer, that product, and we recognized that there was a big component to that sale that was being left out. And I'll let the three of you kind of guess. When it comes to a printer, there's kind of one thing that drives most of the margin. And,
come on, man,
toner.
Toner, toner,
whole margin.
Yeah.
And so
basically
exactly. So we have a data analytics capability where we can understand or help our customers understand, why the average sales size is, lower than it should be. And by not incentivizing properly, the US was losing somewhere around $10 million per quarter, and Canada was about $1 million per quarter. And we were able to provide that feedback and then recommend an incentive strategy to include consumables like the ink and the toner in the sale, which again, it's about reminding the salesperson that this is out there. Sometimes it's just simple. They just forget about it.
Yeah.
So by staying in their face, reminding them, we grew their revenue by triple digits. It was 200%. Yeah.
Look, it's so easy. I as a salesperson, I can understand why, like you're like, toner, ink, whatever. I'll focus on the larger ticket items. But hey, man, one of the things I've always said is the base hits, they keep the lights on. And that's, $10 million is nothing to turn away from. But, I would imagine that's a lower amount that a lot of salespeople would, inherently, they just wouldn't look at it. They'd be like, they just kind of glaze over it. But you get those base hits and that adds up quick.
Oh, Tim, have you ever been involved in one of these things in your previous sales career?
No, not like this.
I have.
Not specifically. I know this is your wheelhouse.
Yeah, man.
Sure.
There's these things are so powerful. When I was in pharmaceuticals, we had these things, and boy, do people, this drives behavior like you wouldn't imagine. Everybody wants the next thing, and everybody talks about the next thing that you can get. Brian, have you been involved in these things before?
I've been involved from the channel perspective, right? So we would have our channel partners that would be driving that incentive too. And it was those kind of steps got you very minor points, and sales got you higher points, obviously, on the way to the journey of these products. But absolutely, honestly, we're even looking at gamification as potentially part of VCIO toolbox, because obviously our job is forcing more adoption. The more we get people into the tool, the more we get them using the tool, the more outcome they're going to ultimately see. And gamification also helps us measure identifying those 85% of people that might not be as engaged as they need to be. So, when you look at all these processes, they translate across different strains, right? But realistically, from a sales perspective, I'm going to go hone in on what Tim said. Oftentimes we get myopic about our sales. We're just going to sell what we can get, what we need to get done with that person. We don't think about the attached sales. Yet all of us will agree in the channel, the beauty of our customers, whether you're selling to the MSPs or whether you're an MSP selling to your customers, the beauty of it is it's a gift that keeps giving. There's constantly more sales to make. Doesn't it make more sense to get those sales up front as much as possible and reduce the amount of sales effort you have long term? Because you still got to make a phone call and send a quote and get that toner filled at some point in time. It's just a question when you get it. And what you're doing, it sounds like a ChannelAssist is helping the big guys capture that revenue sooner, which of course is very important to publicly traded organizations, right? You make a quarter by getting that sale this quarter, not next quarter. We'll worry about that one then.
I would drive this. I'm real sorry, Paul. I would drive this right down to the account manager level.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely.
Do a white space analysis.
This is where
like understand where where you as the business owner need to get these reps going, and then drive this cycle through the account manager. I think this is a really good idea. Sorry, what were you going to say, Paul?
I was just going to add on to what Brian said about comfort, right? If a customer calls you and they're asking for something specifically, 9.9999 times out of 10, that salesperson's just going to fulfill. They're not going to challenge the customer, right? They're just going, if you're asking for something, if I'm asking for Samsung
baby,
lap,
I'm moving on.
That's it. Take the order and I'm moving on. But, through what we've seen through the programs that we've been running, and kind of what Lucy touched on, is if they're properly incentivized and that knowledge and that confidence is transferred, you can win over people or salespeople's mind share. And they are more willing to challenge the customer. Not in a, not in a bad way, but kind of, if they haven't thought about a different solution, maybe a different product, they're more compelled to do that if the structure is there.
Well, I mean, I take it back to when Rob and I were in the MSP industry. I mean, this is already going back 8 years ago, but I mean, look, we didn't have that set up at that MSP, but while we were there, Rob mostly set it up, right? I mean, in conjunction with the owner. And it was very much around this, like, hey, what do our clients have right now? And what are we missing? Where are the gaps? Where can we fill in? You don't have to be aggressive about it. You just have to be top of mind. And the more you can educate your clients on, hey, this is why it's so important to add on this little thing. You start doing that across 50, 70, 100, 150 clients.
Adds up.
It's a good day.
Yeah.
It's a good day. And it adds up quick.
So, maybe tell us a little bit about what's ongoing at ChannelAssist today and what you want to let those future partners of yours. You kind of told us a good backstory on how you're serving the customers that you are today. But what some of the future customers you might want to think about, like how does one determine that they should engage with ChannelAssist?
Yeah, what we're seeing recently, I'm going to go back to the boy in the ocean kind of analogy, right? We've recognized and we highly recommend that coming into this program in bite-sized chunks is the best way to do this. So I'll come from the perspective of maybe an organization that's never done something like this before. Identify a couple of key challenges in your organization when it comes to your program, it comes to engagement, and segment that out so you can understand what that is. And what we're focusing on is helping customers really focus on maybe one or two things in their channel that they can start with, that we can prove results on, and that they can, see immediate results or immediate change, maybe within a quarter or 2 quarters. That's really what we're focusing on right now, and it's getting some great feedback. Short-term pains, yeah.
Beautiful.
It could be something as simple as taking your program off an Excel sheet, right? It's a pain in the ass for anybody who's working off an Excel sheet to facilitate payments, especially if it's globally, to different channel partners and different recipients. Something as simple as that, and then expanding from there to bigger things.
Okay, so just to bring it back to the MSPs, for all the MSPs listening out there, so what you would do is you would go and you would look at all your client deck and your product deck inside of those clients, and you would do a white space analysis, understand where you're having deficiencies in the products that you have in your stack that aren't being sold from your account manager's perspective. Then you guys would come in there and incentivize those gaps in the white space analysis and help them build up that profitability on those product lines that aren't being sold appropriately, so the rep and the owner could get back on track there. That's fantastic. It's a great idea, because it's not for the rep. If it was about money, they would have been selling it, right? If there was just a commission on the other side of it, they would have done it. They're not doing it because it's not appropriately incentivized for them in that product line. So this is great. This is a great idea. But Paul, I got one question before we break off to Timmy here. There is some concerns out there that there's some negative perceptions around this. Like, it can make people feel a little awkward, right? Like, how do you guys address that and help the owners out there understand that this is a really good thing?
It's not going to be for everybody. Let's just say that, right?
Okay.
But I highly recommend that it starts with, if we're working with a client, a vendor, let's say, it's extremely important that they work with their partner community. What are your partner's core objectives, and what are your objectives? And making sure that, when I say making sure that you're aligned, that's easier said than done. That would be awesome if that was just kind of a wave of magic wand, but it's a great place to open the dialogue. Good. So as an MSP or a recipient of these programs, maybe not look at it necessarily as someone intruding in on your business, trying to influence your salespeople or your engineers, but look at it as an investment in your people. Give that very, very much needed feedback to the vendors you're working with about the way your sales cycle is rolling out, who's involved in sales, what are the customers saying, what are they asking for, and providing that feedback back to the vendor so that they can start tweaking the program to better incent them in that direction. So it's not, derailing your MSP or derailing your objective. It's kind of a cohesive approach. And again, it's not going to work for everybody, but it's definitely where these programs are the most successful.
Sure. So it basically it helps to improve the feedback loop, and it helps to drive behavior, right?
Absolutely.
Those are two huge things. Communication is number one, right?
Something I can't overstate is the salespeople own the relationship with the customers. They have so much information that they want to share. Oftentimes they're kind of ignored. Not always, but it does happen. So incentivize them to give feedback.
Sure.
Maybe provide a survey or a case study or a testimonial from a customer. Simple things like that.
All right. Well, I mean, guys, we're coming up to the end here, and we usually like to do like a 5-question, like a simple 5-question, but now we're going to do it different. We're going to do it with both of you here, and let's see how this goes.
Yeah, I know. First time.
It's speed round questions.
Right? Yeah.
You won't get yourself in trouble. They're easy peasy. But yeah. All right.
I say we had another element to this too, and you guys alternate cadence on this. So
that's right.
one person's not just modeling.
Paul starts with the first one.
So whoever, Paul, why don't you bat lead off, and then we'll do the alternate.
That works. All right. The first one is talk, text, or Teams.
Ooh, Teams.
Teams. Okay. Music, movies, or TV.
No, is this an ultimatum?
No, I thought they were both going to give answers.
No. Now Lucy has to go.
Sorry. I thought you were making.
Jesus, we've already dropped the ball.
Yeah, we are.
What happens when you get 3 sales guys in a room?
Talking about it. Yeah.
Music for me.
Music. Okay. Now, Lucy, you're first.
Yeah. So the first one, talk, text, or Teams. Teams. Yeah, it's the way of the world.
And we now know, because of what Tim's done here, that Lucy likes music. So we'll throw that question.
Yeah. So we'll go back to Paul.
I love movies. I also love. I'm gonna go with movies on this one.
Yeah. Wow, that's okay. All right. What kind of movies do you like?
Ooh, I like all kinds of movies. I'm a Tarantino fan. I like Guy Ritchie crime movies. Cool. But I'm also a big fan of like sci-fi, fantasy.
Okay.
Lord of the Rings. Big fan of Lord of the Rings series.
Okay.
Yeah, all kinds of movies.
All right.
What age do you want to retire?
Tomorrow? No.
Is tomorrow?
It'd be awesome. Yeah. I'd be happy with 55.
That's the most common answer.
Right. Yeah, it is.
Lucy?
Maybe 60, 65. I want to work as long as possible.
Oh, you're too pragmatic.
Yeah.
Mac or Windows?
Windows.
Yeah. If you could do anything outside of tech, what would it be?
Art.
Art?
Ooh, what kind of art?
Yeah, what kind?
I do watercolors right now.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Very cool.
Not very good.
If anything, I would love to incorporate travel as a full time. I'm a big fan of like Anthony Bourdain. So if I could do something like him, travel the world and eat food, and talk about it.
Yeah, that would be a great show. I used to watch that show.
I used to love that show.
Great show.
Yeah. Oh, I loved that show.
No reservation.
And of course, low rent. I love that diners, drive-ins.
So yeah, if I could spend my time doing that, I would be very happy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Lucy, Paul, we really appreciate you being here and joining us today. For anyone who is looking to get in touch with either of them, we will be putting their information on our LinkedIn profile with the podcast. Also, this episode will be up on mspbusinessschool.com and anywhere that you get your podcast. Real quick, before we part ways here, Lucy or Paul, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how would they get a hold of you?
For me, LinkedIn is perfect.
Okay.
So you can find me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
You can also find me on LinkedIn too.
Okay.
And go to channelassist.com since neither one of you said it.
Channelassist.com. There it is. Okay. So do you guys have any closing thoughts for today?
Again, thanks for having us. I've taken the opportunity to listen to a couple of different shows, and I know this is a little bit of a different angle. So appreciate you having us on. It was interesting.
Yeah.
Thank
it
you very
was
much.
Good having me on.
Very
Awesome.
Great, and it was great to meet you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Very nice meeting you.
Okay. Lucy, any parting words?
Saying thank you for having me, and of course, make sure you follow, subscribe, and like.
There you go.
Yeah.
Gotta get that plug in.
Salesperson. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks very much. We appreciate everybody being on here today. And as always, talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.